Testing, testing, one, two, three. The very fabric of the Grand Prix flutters on this land. And on this Saturday evening of pure spectacle and sensation, you join us to revive what is a tale of triumph through the years. Racing and its essence has flown like blood along this surface. And here in round 11 of season 4 of Formula Premiere, we reignite the flare and the flame that has engulfed motor racing and the world as a whole. Welcome one and all to the French Grand Prix here in Formula Premiere. Yet another episode of this thrilling championship. And we turn the corner, we turn the page to the Circuit Paul Ricard, which hosts round 11 of this season. Before you is our championship leader, the Haas of Circuit, who has been pulsating ever since he journeyed onto this Formula Premiere stage. He has swept the field, he has ignited an inspirational title charge. He stands above the rest as it stands, but with plenty of rounds to come. Can he sustain the edge? Can he maintain his edge over the competition? He rages down the Mistral Straight, heading into turns 8 and 9, the scene of where Max Verstappen claims the 2021 French Grand Prix lead from Lewis Hamilton on the penultimate lap of that certain event. But he heads back down the Mistral Straight after that chicane and heads off into Scene Corner. Turn 10, absolutely flat out. No rear end stepping out here, and then into Le Bozo, the scene of Charles Leclerc's fractured dream in 2022, where he lost the rear end. Zerky keeping it on the track, keeping it in a forward motion, but is it going to be quick enough to stand above the rest in this session, as the Haas driver has been so accustomed to throughout this season? Coming round now, turn 15 and the final corner, riding the curb on exit, opening DRS and heading down the start-finish straight. For Zerk, it's a lap time of a 1:29.950. How does the opposition respond? Slick is, well, 9 tenths down on them, Snakes goes in between the pair of them. Revokes is now going to reach the line. He's not going to trouble Zerky. In fact, he's not going to trouble the top three. Who else is on a push lap? De Grotte, as he reaches the line, he's a second down on Zerky's attempt. Hydrant now coming across the final corner as we have Lucas going P4, Tablet Storm going P7. So then the turn of Hydrant in the Red Bull. He displaces the likes of Lucas and De Grotte and promotes himself to the second row. So we turn to Pujdog then, who's getting a glorious slipstream from Slick behind. Down the Mistral straight, Slick is, well, we're going to cut the chicane, but that may have put Pujdog off a bit. They'll lay down the throttle on exit and will hope, dearly hope, that he was not distracted and did not lose time going into that turn 8-9 chicane. Coming through Scene Corner, he will hope that he can hook this lap up. Not really opening up Lebose, but wants to cut underneath and reach the apex as soon as he can. And then into turn 12 and the kink of turn 13. This is where you can lose so much time through these rather technical corners. The Aston Martin, you see how much lock he's putting into the front end, but he avoids much of the curve, unlike Zerky, through the exit of the final corner, but he will reach the line, and Pujdog is only P8. So then you have your order after the first runs in Q3. Zerky from Snakes, Jammy, Slick, Hydrant, Lucas, De Grotte, Pujdog, Revoked and Tablet Storm. But the gap that Zerky has is just astounding. 4.5 tenths. He is the ultimate and sovereign sensation in this league right now. And 4.5 tenths across the Circuit Paul Ricard is, well, a mammoth. Simply mammoth effort. We have Jammy now in the garage looking to head out on track. Interestingly enough, Zerky's lap time would have absolutely thrashed Charles Leclerc's pole position efforts at last year's French Grand Prix. In fact, Charles Leclerc, let's have a look at, so Charles Leclerc would have 8.72, so Charles Leclerc would have just about got ahead of Hydrant right now, so he would have qualified in 5th place for this event. So you can see the speeds in which these drivers are going at. So the Haas driver out on track. Winner of the last 4 races is Zerky. He's won 6 races so far this season, having just participated in 7 events. He has swept the league to a new order, and he very much fronts that on yet another warm-up lap with just shy of 5 minutes left in qualifying. It'll be interesting to see, as he's pushing so much on this push lap, if he's thinking about getting a 3rd lap in qualifying. We will have to see. He has set a mesmeric benchmark. Can he better that as he journeys on for another attempt around the Circuit Paul Ricard, opening up the first corner that lends itself nicely and quickly into turn 2, widen the curves, keeping just about within track limits, and then into the second chicane of turns 3 and 4. You have to work with the curves around this circuit. You don't want to punish your car too much over them, and you definitely do not want to be exceeding track limits, as in a gasp you can undo all your efforts, Circuit, finding half a tenth of an improvement through the first sector, heading towards the end of the first part of the Mistral Straights, heading into turn 8 and then sweeping into turn 9. You can see the terrific direction change in that Haas. Zerky is wringing the neck of that Haas he's found. Again, just less than half a tenth across the first two sectors of this lap. Now heading into Labosa, you can just see how long of a corner it is. If you want to put the power down at the right moment, I think Zerky may have put it down a bit too early, so he had to lift off over the curb. But then off the exit of turn 12, he rides the curb again, and he will throw himself into the final two corners. You have to compromise turn 14 to optimise turn 15. It seems like he went in a little bit deep. He isn't rising the curbs though as much as he did on his first push lap. He set the bar. He's raised his standards. He has raised the benchmark. And he is simply in a league of one, is Zerky. I say that as he just literally cuts the track. He's going to just cut the track so he can come back, or is he going to be able to come back into the pits and do another push lap? We only have, no, he's not going to be able to, is he? So, a 1:28.898, that is the lap to beat. Lucas comes to about 6.5 tenths of that effort. Slick is now on a push lap of his own, and he will thrash his Aston Martin through turns 1 and 2. Into turns 3 and 4 then for Slick. We ride on board with the Aston Martin. He's going to get a healthy tow then from his teammates as he allowed Pudgedog earlier on in this session. He's going to be returned the compliments. I think that's Lucas slowing down to let drivers through the car on push laps, but Slick, he's going to get a wondrous tow from his teammate down the Mistral straight. His teammate moves out of the way. Slick finding his braking point superbly. It was synchronised from the two Aston Martin teammates, and it worked seemingly to perfection. Having said that, Slick has only found just over a tenth and a half across his first two sectors. He's looking for a top 3 starting place. Is he going to be able to gain that? Zerky retiring from the session, so we know he's not going to be improving anymore. He's set 2 exhilarating lap times, one of them a 1:29.898. That is the lap. That is the ultimate in which a driver has found around this circuit. Can Slick get within touching distance of that? Could he even eclipse that as he rages down the start-finish straight, crosses the line? And for Slick, it's an improvement, but he's just shy of Lucas's time, so it's only the second row. It is only P4 for Slick. And after looking serene in the first few races, or looking like the benchmark in the first 3 races of this season, it simply has not gone his way. Hydrant on a lap. He's coming through the exit of turn 2. Pudgedog coming to the end of his first sector. He's now going to get a slipstream from his teammates again. The checkered flag is out. The clock has reached 0. So these times are going to have to be the laps of their weekends for these drivers. But Pudgedog lighting up the rear of his car off of the exit of turn 8. He was seeking an improvement. He was looking for any perceptible advantage, but it drifted away from him. So then, it seems like Pudgedog is going to be consigned to a, maximum high starting place of 7th place. But Jammy had a wondrous middle sector. Could he really threaten the sharp ends, the top end positions in this Q3 session? Of course, a one-time race winner in Formula Premier, having won the Sao Paulo Grand Prix on debut. But now, in the colours of Williams, he looks to sweep the scene here at Circuit Paul Ricard. Jammy will reach the line. It is a front row starting place for Jammy. But it seems like once more, Zerky comes out on top in qualifying. There you can see it. Jammy, 4 tenths shy of Zerky's pole position efforts. But it is the Haas, of course, that seems to be the benchmark. So there you have your order. Zerky from Jammy Snakes and Lucas. You can see from third down to fifth, that's looking really close. DeGrotto and Hydrant very similar on lap times. And then we have Pudge Dog, Tablet Storm, and Revokes, who were separated by just less than 0.2 of a second. There are some battles that are ready to be, let's say, crystallizing this weekend. But we await the latest turn. And what will that turn bring here at the Circuit Paul Ricard? Of course, not on the calendar for the 2023 season. So this is the last time Formula Premier will be racing around the Circuit Paul Ricard. But I'm not sure if I have to be joining a new lobby at this stage. But someone has readied up, so that's terrific, isn't it? Let's have a look. New lobby, yeah, it is a new lobby then, so. Excuse me. So then we'll just wait for the others to sort out the lobby for us, and then we will join them very, very shortly. Right, we have been invited to the lobby then. So then it seems like we're starting to assemble the grid order, just ensuring that everyone that wishes to participate does join the lobby. But while we have the time, let's just talk about the Circuit Paul Ricard, because of course it's not going to be on the calendar for the in real life 2023 Formula One season. So it's worth just um, diving into the depths of this circuit. 3.63 miles long, 5.842 kilometers long, 15 corners, and a track that is known to be a bit more punishing on tyres. In 2021, we saw the mixture of one-stop races and two-stop races coalescing with one another and forging what was a fascinating Grand Prix. In 2022, there was the mix of one and two stops, and there was the indication that one stop can be performed around the circuit's Paul Ricard. Having said that, this is a track that is still rather punishing on tyres, but do expect there to be a proposed one-stop race from the majority of drivers. The hards will almost inevitably be used in this race. We have the mixture of slow speed corners, high speed corners, medium speed corners, which has gathered criticism of the track, particularly that third sector from turn 11 all the way to turn 15. It is quite awash with turbulent air, let's say. The long sweeping turn 11, the never ending turn 11, the undulating turn 12, turn 14, again, another long corner, which can really affect following in Formula One races, whether that's the new generation of cars in 2022 or the really turbulent, heavy cars of 2017 to 2021. God. Yeah, like we said, France being the home of the idea of Formula One or of motor racing in general, the first ever Grand Prix happening on French tarmac. And it is the very essence and blood of motor racing that we carry all the way to 2023, courtesy of Formula Premiere. Paul Ricard is a track that made its return to Formula One in 2018 after an absence of over 25 years. It was a 28-year absence from the circuit, Paul Ricard. But France is a country which has hosted many a Formula One race on different tracks. We have Magny-Cours, very much a fan favourite. We have Paul Ricard. We have Reims. We have Dijon. Oh, I'm forgetting so many here. Rouen, even raced on, the Bugatti circuits. Le Mans, a very modified and quite repulsive Le Mans track back in 1967, but it is Circuit Paul Ricard, which has always intended to be a testing track, but its modern day facilities certainly did attract the world of Formula One back to the country of France. Now, I do not know when we're going to be starting this event. Hopefully, as soon as we can. And it seems like we are going to be getting underway very, very shortly. So then the clock ticks down and the scene starts to transpire. The French Grand Prix, round 11 of season 4 of Formula Premiere. It's, of course, the longest season in Formula Premiere's history. This will see us through to the 2023 Formula One game, well, this season. So it is very much a marathon rather than a sprint, but every single race brings about irrevocable and poignant moments that really can shape a season and destinies for our many drivers. It seems like we've got all the drivers that we'd want to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14. Only 15 I can count. Maybe I can't count. So then, we have the scene of the. I mean, what are the? Is there 3-in-1 mechanics there? Goodness me. We have Barney Dog joining as well, but yeah, you can see. Yeah, that's not. Looks like some kind of fantasy horror. That's like Shaun of the Dead. But away from that and onto this race. I'm going to make a little bold prediction that Zerkia will start on the hard compound tyres. I'll probably change it if he can hear me. Okay then. Yeah, so you can see at the moment the drivers have elected, the majority of them, to start on the hard, with the exception of Snakes, who is electing to start on the medium. So it'd be interesting to see. Some drivers will definitely try and push their hards as long as possible to then switch to the soft compound tyres. But those tyres will be chewing away their grip through every single corner. So it will certainly be a race of intrigue around strategy, but of course we are here to see what can crystallise on the circuit. The drivers just choosing their setups, optimising their strategies, and we will shortly be underway. But for Zerky, it is 6 wins so far in Formula Premiere. 6 wins in 7 races. Have a look. 1. Maybe I'm mistaken. Yeah, 6 race wins so far in Formula Premiere. He's won well over half of all the races so far this season. He's not competed in every single one of them. That just shows the extent of his dominance. He's 21 points clear of Slick at the top of the standings. And Slick will hope that he can at least have a footnote in this race and the destiny of the championship. Zerky, though, is just frankly driving in a league of one at this point. But who can stop him? Could it be a fickle French race for the Haas driver? Could it be a day of destiny for those who seize to dethrone him? Either way, we have one gripping race ahead of us, and one that will soon be underway. So then I'm not too sure when this race will get underway. Look at race director again. Oh, Snakes. Snakes is now elected for the softs. Okay. Gupta, who's joined the session, is elected for the medium compound tyres. Okay. That makes it very interesting. Snakes is going to be a threat at the start of this race. He was already going to be on the mediums. On the softs, he is going to be inspired on the first lap. So then, the clock is ticking down and the start of this race is 9. Is it 9 or 9? I've never actually understood. But like I said, we have one epic, gripping race ahead of us. We have Zerky, who looks to be on top, who looks to prolong his period of perfection. How long, though, will it last? That was loud in my ear, that was. But Zerky's now left the session. Is he disconnected? Wow, this could be a tale unforeseen for Zerky, who won the formation lap. Probably the most ideal time to leave. But Zerky disconnecting from the lobby. That makes things really quite interesting. Just quickly invite Zerky. I know someone's going to be like, no, you can't. Try and make it interesting. But come on. Oh, Zerky's joined. Okay. That saves me the effort from doing just that. But Zerky will definitely be unable to warm his tyres up in the way that he would like to. That could... Oh no, Snakes has gone back to the mediums. Could you imagine if he'd gone to the softs? He's still going to be a threat at the start of this race. We know that he can unlock that AlphaTauri from the second row of the grid on softer compounded tyres. Particularly in the second phase of the start, the AlphaTauri may be one to be counted. Zerky, the ghosted car of Zerky, leading the drivers on the formation lap. He's going to hope to arrive to the grid and hope to be in control of his car. Or else he's going to be really, really compromised at the start of this race. And Zerky's still not in control of his car. This is subpar, let's say, for the Haas driver. He is dearly going to hope that he can take control of his car, but the drivers are forming up on the grid. So then, arriving to the rear of the pack, it seems like Burton trying to join her grid spot. So then we return to the fabric and the essence of Grand Prix racing. The echoes of 19th and 20th century motor racing reverberate onto this Formula Premier scene here in 2023 and here at the Circuit Paul Ricard, where it's from the lights to the action. It looks like Snakes has got a good start in third place. He's going to challenge both Zerky and Jammy. The Haas dropping down the order. Tablet Storm losing his front wing. It seems like, well, Zerky's way down the pack. He's really been compromised at the start of this race. He clearly is not in control of his car. Lucas, it seems like he's encountered a problem or two through the first corner, but it's Jammy from Snakes from slicks and revokes. Hudson up into P5 ahead of the Grosse. We're on board with Lucas, who is searching for the outside line. He has to run off the road. So too does the Grosse. Burton has had a fantastic start. Gupta up into 7th place from 16th, and the McLaren has rocketed off of the line on this first lap. But Lucas has got a tremendous toe on him. Could these trio of drivers run 3 wide? Look at the drivers down the Mistral straight. Who is going to wedge ahead? It's Gupta to the inside of Burton, the AlphaTauri. holding the place ahead of Lucas, but it's manic in the midfield on this opening lap. The two Alfa Romeos going side by side with Grotte, lending himself a place ahead of his teammate Ricard, joining in the fight as well, racing on in towards Scene Corner. The Alpine to the inside, not making a move, but both Alfa Romeos run out wide. Axel trying to maintain his position ahead of the Alpine and doing just that. Snakes though surging into the lead of the race. It seems like he's got the job done on this first lap. He's got himself to the very front, which is what he needed on these softer compounded tyres. And on a matter of racecraft, on the matter of getting the ultimate first lap, it looks like Snakes has done just that. Circuit though is down into last. Well, he was last. He's still not in control of his car. This is an absolute nightmare, it seems, for Circuit, unless, well, I beg it's not my internet connection problems. But Snakes then leading out in front. We have Hydrant and Tablet Storm both pitting. Let's have a look at the biggest winners and losers from this start. And you can see Gupta gaining 10 places after starting from the very, very back of the grid. But here comes Jamie now down the Mistral straight. Look at the top end speed he has. He's really going to trouble the AlphaTauri of Snakes going into turn 8 and 9. The Williams sweeping to the outside, but the AlphaTauri keeping him at bay. It's the battle for the lead, and it's igniting on lap 2. The Williams then down the Mistral straight once more, drawing side by side with the AlphaTauri, lending himself the inside line into Scene Corner, and he takes back the lead of the race for the AlphaTauri of Snakes, not giving this up around the outside of Lebosi. He's going to keep his nose in it, riding onto the curves into turn 12. Again, he's going to have the inside line. Again, he looks to outmuscle the Williams. Again, they draw so close to one another. It's fiction on lap 2 of the French Grand Prix. This is ultimate racing unfolding before our eyes. Aghast is the difference between the leading pair at the end of the second lap. Within meters, within millimeters of each other, they run side by side once more into turn 1, and the AlphaTauri of Snakes out-muscling, out-powering the Williams. But my oh my, Jamie gave it his all. It was flirting with fiction. It was mesmeric. And as we shuffle onto lap 3 of the French Grand Prix, DRS will be enabled, and Jamie will have a great chance to take back the lead of the race. You can see even before DRS how much he's gaining on the AlphaTauri. It's just no contest between the two, and the Williams surging by. Gupta and Revokes in battle as well. Gupta is now up into 5th, looking to trouble Pudgedog in the battle for P4 now, laying down the throttle off of the exit of turn 9 and sweeping past him. We have yellow flags out on track. Have a few drivers, it seems, running off the road. That's Burton down into P14. Oh, it was such a good start for Burton, and it's gotten away from her. What a mighty shame that is for the AlphaTauri Axel. Looks like he was running in quite deep going into Leboso, but he maintains his position ahead of Lucas. Again, yellow flags out on track. That's Burton once more. It's just torrid there for the AlphaTauri. Zerky is making a move. He's making an impression, and more than that on Plom. The Haas up into 12th place through the final corner now as Jamie registering the quickest lap so far in this race. Revokes lurking on the tail of Pudgedog, lending himself the inside line into the first corner and promoting his Red Bull up into P5, but losing the rear on exit, dancing with the rear of the car, dancing with desolation. But he recovered it, he regrouped, and he remains in 5th place. Circuit trying to challenge a curve rate, looking for the outside line there. That turns into the inside line for turn 5, and then turn 6. They may have made contact with one another, but the Haas prevails and powers through. If he is to win the Grand Prix from here, Circuit, it is going to be a matchless and majestic drive from here. He's in outside the points on during lap 4 of the French Grand Prix. If he can race his way to the front, it would be jaw-dropping in its glory. On board with Lucas then, who is igniting in battle with Barney Dog in the battle for P9, going into C corner, taking to the curb, going to try and they make contact. They touched front wheels there. Barney Dog trying to hang it around the outside. Who seeks the initiative? It's the Ferrari there of Lucas who gets by Barney Dog. Barney Dog looking to fight back. Circuit looking to cut underneath Barney Dog. The Mercedes compromising himself going into turn 12, and Circuit is lurking on his tail around the outside of turn 14, the inside of turn 15. Mighty, just mighty there from Circuit, who makes his way through and eclipses the Mercedes in a moment of inspiration. Up into the points at the start of lap 5 as Snakes has, well, Snakes and Jammy once more really close on the road, and Snakes is ahead of Jammy then. So whether it was a mistake from the Williams or if Snakes has caught him out somewhere, Snakes is racing at the very front, but for how much longer? Because the Williams again lurking on his tail, pushing him down the Mistral straight, searching for that outside line, keeping it within track limits. It's not yet another fantastic overtake at the start of this French Grand Prix, but Snakes coming back at the Williams once more side by side. Slick has got a mighty view of this battle. He can see the Williams taking the race lead. He can see the AlphaTauri not letting go, and it is such a sight for Slick. But Snakes always lost the rear of the car. He runs off road and he acquiesces second place. Are those medium compound tyres starting to suffer here at Paul Ricard? This is not ideal for Snakes, who was hoping to be racing out in front. So too was Zerky, who after starting from pole dropped down to pretty much last at the end of the first lap. But around the outside of turn 14, he is searching for different lines. He is finding different ways, different modes to absorb his excellence on this stage. He's now having to act as a defensive as he defends from Lucas, and actually the Ferrari touching the rear wing of the Haas going down the start-finish straight. That may have been late from Zerky. That may have caught the Ferrari out. Nonetheless, they are lucky to be carrying on in a straight line. But this is a different kind of race for Zerky, powering through the pack and trying to beat his rivals through a matter of racecraft. We know he has the speed, but speed is one thing, racecraft is another thing in events like this. Is Snakes and Slick. Slick was ahead, the AlphaTauri has taken back the place. Circuit with the inside line on Axel down the Mistral straight. Ninth turns into 8th for the Haas, but he's been tapped around by Axel, the pole sitter, the championship leader. Is another unwanted, unforeseen twist. It is a flicker of French fantasy here at Circuit Paul Ricard. This is the script being redrawn. This is the script being thrown away. And this is Formula Premier coming to its own. Circuit is really on the back foot now. He runs at such a risk in this race. That four-race consecutive winning streak may be coming to an end. Of course, we have 20 laps left, but it is not looking good for the championship leader. He remains out on track then, so he hasn't encountered front wing damage as Burton again goes for a spin. Like I said, that is a shame there for Burton. All still making a move going into turn 14. How close was that? Oh, and Burton. Well, again, it's just gotten away from the AlphaTauri, but her teammate Snakes battling for the lead of the race. So after having some trouble with his tyres, running off road corner after corner, he's regrouped himself, he's regathered his momentum, and once more his eyes are set upon the race lead going into the Bose. The Williams rear wing gets larger, it gets larger and larger and larger. Oh, Snakes again losing the rear of the car. This time is more consequential. He's lost a handful of places. He's going to be shoveled down into 6th place. So Slick up to 2nd, Gupta up to 3rd, ahead of Revokes. The Snake's now down to 6th place. He was in a battle with the rear of the car. Those tyres must be crying out loud now, and it just has been the worst possible lap for AlphaTauri. One driver retiring and another one being pretty much eliminated from podium contention. But Gupta and Revokes, the battle for 3rd and 4th. Once the ultimate fixture of domination in Formula Premier, Gupta looking for what may just be his 3rd podium of the season. It has been, well, it's been anything but the ideal season for Gupta as Snakes making a move on Pudge Dog going into turn 5. That may have caught the Aston Martin out, but down the Mistral straights, who will have DRS? It's going to be Pudge Dog. But it seems like Snakes got such a mighty exit off of turn 7, or turn 6 and 7. It does not matter to, it doesn't matter because he's far enough ahead. Barney Dog making a move on a curve where you can see the Mercedes sweeping past the Alpine. Zerky has once more claimed a place ahead of Axel. And after colliding earlier, Zerky is once more trying to pierce through the pack. And his racecraft is going to have to grant him his finishing position. Oh no, folks! Look how the rear of that Red Bull got away from Revokes. Look how it came alive. Look how fickle it was as Revokes' work has been undone. Oh no, Snakes now! Snakes has retired from the race. What on earth has gone on there? Has he crashed onto pit lane entry? Nonetheless, Snakes, who had spun out of 2nd place and dropped down the order earlier on, is now out of the French Grand Prix. That is a benumbing moment. A benumbing moment in this race, and yet another twist in which this race has had to digest. What happens next? What on earth happens next? Both AlphaTauris consigned to the sidelines now. Wow. A gulf of drama has just swept overhead here at Circuit Paul Ricard. The script has been altered. And what we have left is one awesome French Grand Prix. Here we have De Grotte lurking on the tail of the Volks of Red Bull, having had a drastic spin through the exit of this corner just a lap ago. Is now on the defensive from De Grotte. Jammy leading out in front from Slick by 1.7 seconds. Gupta in 3rd place ahead of Pudge Dog. Then comes Revokes and De Grotte. Zerky in 7th ahead of Barney Dog. Okurji and Excel round out the top 10. And this is an order that we have not been accustomed to here in Formula Premier season 4. Zerky has been the zenith. He is dominated. He is led from the front. He is currently down in P7, but be rest assured, Zerky fans, this race is not over. Revokes defending from De Grotte. Is this defence going to sustain and yield that provisional place by the end of this lap, because the Alfa Romeo has DRS and is closing in to every passing seconds. Again, it looks like Revokes is really struggling with the rear of that car and putting down the power. He isn't exactly racing away from De Grotte. The Alfa Romeo once more will get the toe, and Revokes knows that. He's going on the defensive down the Mistral straights into Scene corner. De Grotte through Le Bose, trying to take a different line to the Red Bull, trying to not be caught up in that turbulent wake. But the Red Bull currently is stubborn in his defence. At the end of lap 10 of 27 of this French Grand Prix, he holds 5th place. But for how long will he stay there? Off the exit of the final corner, Revokes getting a mighty launch, but is weaving this way and that way, trying to break the toe from the Alfa Romeo. De Grosse is not close enough to make an impression going into turn 1. It seemed like he could ride a much more confident line through turn 1, through the apex of turn 1, lending itself into turn 2, but this straight is just so short. But the Alfa Romeo can't make headway. But the DRS zone is looming, and the Alfa Romeo sensing an opportunity. So then this gargantuan straight awaits these two drivers, and De Grotte can sense an opportunity now with the aid of DRS closing in with the slipstream, but is not close enough to Revokes going into turn 8. The exit of turn 9 is pivotal. But again, the Red Bull, it just seems like Revokes is just about doing enough at this stage. The Alfa Romeo, exasperated beneath the rear wing of Revokes' Red Bull, and this laborious task to get past Revokes prolongs yet further. Jammy leading by 2 seconds out in front. Slick is not really, well, he is within undercut territory, you have to say, but can he really trouble Jammy? Now De Grotte around the outside of Revokes, the Red Bull and the Alfa Romeo side by side. The Alfa Romeo ahead going to the final corner, but Revokes putting down the power sharply, poignantly and sensationally gets past the Alfa Romeo. What a response from Revokes! The Alfa Romeo had a go, Revokes had the answer. And these two igniting in wheel-to-wheel combat. It is a treat right now in Formula Premiere. This is the French Grand Prix flickering with fiction. It's mesmeric. It really is. And once more Revokes trying to defend from De Grotte. Many rounds are being contested. Many questions still unanswered. But for De Grotte, can he finally get the measure of Revokes? Circuit's closing in on this pair. He's flirting at around the 4-second margin, so he's closing in on the Alfa Romeo. Circuit is certainly still alive in this race. But our eyes are fixated on this battle for the lead. Not for the lead. For P5, Okurja and Barney Dog side by side. We have Okurja on the outside, forced to the curbs, but muscles his way through. Gupta having a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But then you can see Okurja running out wide. Barney Dog sensing an opportunity, almost colliding with the Alpine to the inside of turn 14. The Alpine making him settle for the most minimal of track. But Barney Dog still alive in this battle down the start-finish straight. The Alpine knows that and into turn 1. Barney Dog took a chance. He wasn't able to grant himself 7th place in this race. De Grotte still hot on the heels of the Red Bull. Is this his chance? Is this finally his chance? Getting that exit off of turn 7 is pivotal. In fact, he's going to have to make a move soon because Revokes is closing in on Pudgedog, and Revokes may be able to use DRS himself, which was really nullify the threat from De Grotte behind. Or De Grotte exceeding track limits there going into turn 9. But Revokes just has the response every single moment in which De Grotte has applied pressure. Revokes has withstood that pressure mightily. Here's Barney Dog, who's overtaken by Okurja. He hasn't let go of him, he has not lost sight. But the Mercedes looking to make a move back on the Alpine. The Alpine on its home turf, looking to quell quake of inspiration that Barney Dog is searching for in this particular battle. Axel is very much in this fight as well. Could be a three-way fight for 7th place in this race, which would be completely indicative of the drama we have endured and enjoyed so far. Gupta and Hydrant nose to tail then on the start of lap 14 of this French Grand Prix. Gupta, of course, having pitted, has that 5-second time penalty due to speeding in the pit lane, which is really going to hamper his efforts in this race. Again, De Grotte searching and thirsting for that move on revokes, but is having to be patient. Circuit closing in on the pair still through every corner of every lap. Circuit is growing larger and larger in De Grotte's mirrors. Gupta, it seems like, has found his way past Hydrant, and the McLaren then up into 11th and is on the fringes of the points. So we've just exceeded half distance in this French Grand Prix. What a race it has been so far, and there's still so much to be decided. Where is Zerke going to end up may just be the biggest question. Does he have enough speed to make up the deficit for which he lost after disconnecting from the lobby and after being spun around earlier in this race? It would be one of the all-time great drives in Formula Premier if Zerke could finish on the podium, let alone win this race. He has a chance. More than anyone, Zerke has the chance to make up the deficit. Pudgedog, it seems, really is struggling on his tyre, but Revokes didn't exactly get the best line through turns 6 and 7. De Grotte is closer, but because the Red Bull has DRS, he can pretty much maintain that gap between himself and De Grotte down the Mistral straight. And these three drivers in formation have Zerke closing in and not letting them breathe. Gupta earning himself another time penalty, this time for track limit violations. That adds his penalty tally up to 8 seconds, and it just becomes that much more exasperating for the McLaren, who has just an exceptional start to this race. Starting from last, he rocketed off of the grid and made his way up into the podium positions, but this pit stop phase may have not been so kind to him. So Revoke's still ahead of De Grotte. Zerke is now within 1 second of De Grotte. That shows you how much speed he's had and how much De Grotte has been compromised behind Revokes and Pudgedog. So Gupta, having triggered the undercut, is so far clear of Pudgedog. But with that time penalty that Gupta has to serve, and with younger, fresher tyres that Pudgedog looks to enjoy, that is a battle far from over. Down the Mistral straight once more, lap 16 of 27. I wonder if these drivers are chancing the idea of running the soft compound tyres to the end of this race. It would make for a riveting conclusion to this Grand Prix. But still a long way to go. Of course, Kurja and Barney Dog once more nose to tail. They both pitted at the end of the last lap. They have both come out so close to one another. And Barney Dog with DRS is seeking a move on the Alpine. Mercedes on a Alpine. Silver on blue. And it is Barney Dog certainly down the outside line who tries to make the move and does make the move. That is blissful from Barney Dog. It's a bliss of bravado, but on exit, deploying the battery, Kurja waltzes past and reclaims that position. What a battle between these two. Barney Dog, he had a chance. He had a look to the inside of Labose, Leclerc kept him at arm's length, but these two are inseparable on the mediums, on the hards. Be rest assured that they are glued to one another. Now Gupta has come out behind Slick and Jammy. Jammy and Slick having just made their pit stops, but De Grosse, why am I mentioning De Grosse? Why did I mention De Grosse? But Hydrant's registering the quickest lap of this race so far, but still Barney Dog beneath the rear wing of Leclerc. He did provisionally get past the Alpine on the last lap, but on this tour, on lap 17 of 27, can he make this move permanent? Slick now has a time penalty of his own due to track limit violations. That could really cost him, most certainly, in the battle for the win. But Barney, his eyes set upon, fixated upon the Alpine of Leclerc. Again, thinking about, just igniting himself for a move. It's not made through turn 8 and 9, but off of the exits. He was so strong, and he draws ever closer to the Alpine. Into scene. Nicking the front end of that Mercedes in. He's still going to have a decent slipstream beneath the rear wing of that Alpine. But still, Leclerc running ahead. So Jammy has made his pit stop. He is going to switch to the medium compound tyres and not the softs. That's going to relegate him out of the podium places. It's going to possibly demote him down into P6. All this is going to be close between Circuit and Revoked. The Red Bull trying to make a move to the inside of turn 1. Circuit on colder tyres is on the defensive. Revoked lays down the throttle. Is lurking on the tail of Circuit. Want that track position, but can't get it just yet. There's been an accident for De Grosse, who has ran off the road and has demoted himself behind Lucas. But still Revokes on the tail of the Haas of Circuit, trying to use his temperature-ridden medium compound tyres to battle past the Haas. And it's just no contest between the two. Zerky tries and just doesn't have that top-end speed due to the Red Bull having DRS. And Zerky is down into P6. And it is these medium tyres that will see him to the end of the race. But where will these tyres end up? Will it be on the rostrum? Will it be in P1? It could be anywhere for Zerky, who threw the Bose, searching for that outside line. And just look how confident he is with that car. Going into turn 12, Revokes on the defensive, goes in deep. Zerky comes back at the Red Bull. His peerless presence has paved its way to Revokes. This the battle for 5th place. The Red Bull and the Haas, eye to eye, wheel to wheel here at Circuit Paul Ricard, and with the aid of DRS, Zerky closes in. Revokes trying to make the line as tight into turn 1 as possible, but the Haas taking the place. Revokes again trying to respond, but this time the Haas has made its move, and the push, the final push begins. He was last at the end of the first, or he was last during parts of the first lap. He has battled his way back up into the top 5. And he is a force and a flame that just cannot be quelled in Formula Premiere. You can just see how he's able to take different lines, how he's able to maximise his exit, how he leaves his competitors in his wake. He's just shy of 15 seconds behind our race leader, is Zerky. You can see all Pudge struggling, and Zerky has a sniff of making the move on the Aston Martin. Again, he tries to run the wide line on entry, cutting back underneath on exit. Feel like it's a matter of time before he makes his move going into turn 15, opening up the corner once more, laying down the throttle. That Aston Martin rear wing becomes so large it eventually is demoted behind him. Circuit is up into 4th place. Effectively 3rd with Gupta's time penalty, but on the road he has just shy of 15 seconds of a deficit behind Jami. He has 3 places of deficit to Jami. Where will he end up? 21 points clear of Slick going into this event. Would end up being 24 because of qualifying. Of course, remembering those points being awarded in qualifying. Here's Revokes making an impression and making the move on Pudgedog. Pudgedog on exit, muscling his way back past Revokes. Oh, they're so close to one another, wheel to wheel, and with the Aston Martin sprinting ahead of the Red Bull. It's Pudgedog in 5th, it's Revokes in 6th, and Revokes tapping the rear wing of Pudgedog. These two in battle, wheel to wheel. Isn't it such a rippling sight? Through this final sector, this is the sector of track where the tyres are really starting to chew away. This is where, if you want to spend the grip, you will have to suffer the consequences of either tyre management or tyre degradation. Later on in this race, Revokes once more having his eyes set upon Pudgedog down the start-finish straight, racing into turn 1. Underneath the rear wing of Pudgedog, he knows he has the speed, he knows he wants to make the move. But time, and when he uses it, is of the essence. Zerky registering the quickest lap of the race so far. He is blitzing his way into the consciousness of Gupta and actually makes his move before the straights. Zerky then up into the podium places, and this battle and this charge from Zerky, I was going to say, goes on longer, but Gupta back up into P3 with the aid of DRS. Maybe he played that strategically, but here comes Pudgedog on remote. Oh, how close was that? Millimetres can be the difference in Grand Prix racing. Millimetres was the difference between Pudgedog and Revokes going out of contention. Zerky again battling his way back past Gupta. He did it through Lebose in the end. The inside line fell before him and he could not resist the opportunity. So 3rd place is obtained by the Haas. Over 13 seconds behind Jami. You just cannot help but think that he is out of the frame for race victory. But a podium position after that torturous first lap would be an epic result from the championship leader. Here comes Revokes once more. Has he got his man going into turn 1? Yes, he does. Pudgedog in response. What can he do? Down the mid-straddle straights, he will have DRS as long as he keeps within 1 second of the Red Bull entering the detection zone. This battle is far from over. Whether the Aston Martin has reserved a bit of deployment, that could also help him in this battle. But Revokes getting such a mighty exit of the turn 6 and 7. He looks to resist the pressure of Pudgedog, who wants to close back in on his enemy in this particular squabble. But lap 22 of 27, the Williams of Jami out in front. Quarter winner in Sao Paulo, looking to make it a pair of wins in Formula Premiere. He has just over 5 laps to accomplish that objective. The final corner once more. Revokes really struggling this time, and Pudgedog does not need a second invitation there. With DRS, he maximises that opportunity, and with no response from Revokes, the Aston Martin settling back up inside the top 5. Neither of these two have penalties for track limits yet. Having said that, Pudgedog is not going to help himself by running off the road like that. DRS is all that separates these two. A shimmer could be the difference off the exit of turn 6 and 7. The Lichtenberg straight awaits these two drivers once more. The Red Bull thinking about the inside, swapping to the outside of Pudge Dog, and Revokes once more reclaiming that 5th place. It's a battle that is never ending, no end in sight. It's enriching and it's glorious between these two. Hydrants trying to make an impression on Lucas going into turn 8. The outside line lends itself into the inside line. In fact, running off those for Hydrants was, well, not really the task. Oh, and it's contact between the pair. Lucas and Hydrant colliding. The pair of them finding the wall. The Ferrari out of this race. And the virtual safety car, the safety car in its entirety has been deployed. And Zerky taking the chance to pit. Zerky and Gupta both coming into the pits. Zerky could still be alive in this race. He's going to be on younger tyres, and as Jammy and Slick actually crossed the pit lane entry before the safety car was deployed, they're going to be so vulnerable. Yet another epic twist in this Grand Prix. The dream may still be alive for our championship leader. He has a chance. My word, does he have a chance? Are Jammy and Slick going to be able to pit? That's a massive question. They're not behind the safety car, of course. If they pitted, they should come out ahead of Zerky, but they've got to take that opportunity. I'm pretty sure Slick would want to pit to get rid of that time penalty. Whether that can be applied during the pit stops, I'm not too sure. But Jammy, surely he's going to take the chance to pit. Yes, he does. Slick, what does he do? So Jammy coming into the pits now. Slick, tyres or track position, he elects for the tyres. So he comes into the pits. Now, as we are under safety car conditions, so the drivers are going at a reduced speed, you would think that Zerky would not jump these two. Jammy switching to the softs. Slick coming in for the soft as well. So no, he's not going to serve his time penalty, so that's going to put the Aston Martin at a massive disadvantage, as that penalty would be applied after the race, and as the drivers will close up on the race leaders. Slick could actually end up being off the podium. He will only have a maximum of 2 laps of racing. We're on lap 25 and 27. It could be a last lap showdown. It is bubbling up here at Le Castellet. The origins of motor racing history and the origins of exultation are being redrawn and revisited. This is a conclusion to any Grand Prix you are awaiting. It could be the stuff of dreams, of fantasy, of fiction. And for Zerky, it was that fantasy-like chance he so dearly craved. On pole by a yawning chasm. Had the speed, he always has the speed. He is the sovereignty of speed in Formula Premiere. He will have 2 laps to make his move. The safety car coming into the pits at the end of this lap. So the drivers racing their way to the pack, trying to be amongst it. Whether they can all join, that's another thing. I don't think, Tabelstorm definitely not, but Plonk isn't as well. Jamie knows that Slick has a time penalty. He does not want to lose time racing him. He yearns the idea of Slick keeping Circuit at bay. Has the Williams chose to waltz away? Yes, he has. We're back underway here at Le Castellet. Lap 26 of 27 awaits the drivers. Circuit, could it be one last chance for one sensational dream here at Circuit Paul Ricard? He ran down in last earlier on in this race. He has battled his way back up into the podium positions. But could it be the race victory for him? He has 2 laps to make his move. Here's a Kurger on the mediums trying to defend him to Grotte, who is on the softs. And you can see the Alfa Romeo exuding confidence with those soft compound tyres, which have come alive at the safety car restart. Down the Mistral straight on board with the Alfa Romeo. You can see the Alpine trying to defend. No DRS in action just yet, but the Alfa Romeo thinking about the inside, switching to the outside. Turns 8 to 9 away these two. The Alfa Romeo surging to the outside and maximising the tyres, maximising his potential, and sweeps past the Alpine. 8th turns into 7th for the Alfa Romeo. Barney Dog has an interest as well. But out in front, Slick is really bothering Jamie. Jamie, whether he's on older tyres or not, let's have a look. No, he's not on older tyres. These are not tyres he used in qualifying at all. He's not racing away from Slick. Circuit also is not really making an impression on the top 2. We have Barney Dog ahead of Axel. This is the battle for the lower end points. Axel closing in on the Mercedes through turn 14. Slots back. Accepts the disadvantage through turn 15. Circuit though registering the quickest lap we've seen so far. But we ponder on to the final lap of this French Grand Prix. It has been something. Really, it has been something. Something we will remember for a long, long time in Formula Premier. One of the best races we have had so far in Season 4. Jamie closing in on a second race victory of the season. Slick knowing he has a time penalty, depriving him of the chance to race for race victory as a Kurger spinning, losing a handful of positions, relegating himself outside of the points. Circuit can see the race lead dangling before his very eyes. But Slick and Jamie stand in his way. Plom and Barney Dog on the tail of Axel. And Axel gets a good enough exit on turn 9. Barney Dog closing in on the Alfa Romeo. The Merc looking to take the place on the Alfa Romeo, going into Scene Corner, and Barney Dog does just that. But out in front, it's Jamie, as it has been for the majority of the race. These last 2 laps have been the laps from hell for Jamie. He's had to suffer with the momentous pressure of Slick and Circuit. But as he exits the final corner, he has splashed his sensation on the fabric of motor racing tapestry. It is Jamie who prevails and flickers with fantasy at the French Grand Prix. He defeats Circuit by half a second in the end. And after being spun around earlier on in this race, after being demoted to last on the first lap of this race, Circuit has fought back valiantly. But the day belongs to Jamie. Jamie from Circuit revokes, earns himself a podium ahead of Slick and Pudge Dog, De Grotte 6th, Gupta 7th, ahead of Barney Dog, Plom and Axel. A Kurger and Tablet Storm rounding out the order outside of the top 10. Wow, what a race that was. This race promised intrigue, and it's so very much delivered. Circuit rightly being awarded driver of the day. And for Williams, it's their first victory in France since Ralf Schumacher in 2003. He lifts the trophy, does Jamie, and for the second time this season, he converts a front row starting position into race victory. What an awesome Grand Prix that was. Jamie, Zerke, both mesmeric. Revokes from 10th to 3rd. Slick, he was amongst the action, but that time penalty plaguing his progress in the end. Gupta from last to points. Barney Duggan, Plom and Axel all started outside the top 10, went on to score points. It was just a breathtaking race, and one of the finest we have seen so far this season. There we have it then. Another awesome instalment of Formula Premiere. So then, what another awesome race that was here in Formula Premiere. Arguably the best we have had so far this season. The twists played out and they fell before Jamie, who maximised his opportunity and went on to win his second race of this season. And after a breathtaking race here in Formula Premiere, it is time to take a breath. Particularly for me, flipping out, I've been doing broadcasting work all day. But that was a Saturday night treat, and one we'll remember for a long time. And if you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you come back with us to Formula Premiere. And make sure you come back with glee and optimism for what this league can produce. We'll see you next time. And make sure you return for when we return here at Formula Premiere. And until next time, goodbye.